Good morning. Welcome to our worship service at First Unitarian Society of Ithaca. My name is Magdalene Lindberg, and I am your celebration associate today. It's so wonderful that you can all be here today, both in person and online. On this Sunday morning, we hold in our hearts both the beauty of spring and our grief and anger over yesterday's racially motivated shootings in Buffalo and the strife that continues in many parts of this world. You can learn more about us by checking the church website, and you can complete a newcomer form on the website homepage. You can learn more about all the goings-on here by emailing a request to office@uuithaca.org. Those of you who are attending in person can also find many announcements in the printed order of service. Our service this morning is being live streamed from our sanctuary in downtown Ithaca and will be available for later viewing on our YouTube channel. I have one announcement. Our community auction was a great success, and this is a reminder that payment and pickup is due. You can see our administrator, Michelle Waffner, when she is back in the office, or Marie Benedetti after the service today.
Good morning. I am so happy to announce that we are back at the Ithaca Festival Parade this year. That'll be on Thursday, June 2nd, and you're all invited to walk with us. Of course, I want ukuleles there, and you know who you are if you play ukulele. And if you don't play ukulele but want to figure it out, we're doing a couple of easy songs that only involve a couple of chords. We will have to figure out some times to practice together before then. Maybe this week and next week. We just have a couple of weeks to prepare. We will have a car with a wagon attached to it. I'm looking at Scott Grover, and I'm hoping that's the case. So you don't have to walk the whole way. You can also sit. We will have noisemakers and other things, and there'll be people who will need to hold the banners. So there'll be a job for everybody. We are going to be dressed in rainbow colors. So choose something out of the rainbow and wear that. A lot of us have kind of our yellow shirts that say "Side with Love," but you can also have any other color out of the rainbow to wear to walk with us. And in addition to the parade on Thursday, we are going to have a table, and probably in DeWitt Park, that is going to have information about what happens at First Unitarian, as well as some water to hydrate people, the festival goers. Hopefully it'll be good weather that weekend. Emily will be providing a small activity for all ages, so it'll be a lot of fun. But we need people to sit at those tables. So be on the lookout for a sign-up. Jess Brown is helping to coordinate that, so Jess is sitting back there. You can find her after the service and say, "Hey, I want to sit at the table for an hour or 2 or 3 find a friend who can be there with you, and be a smiling face and help invite people in the community to come join us." Thank you.
Our speaker today is Valerie Graves. Valerie became a member of FUSIT in 2017, and prior to becoming a Unitarian Universalist, she studied Buddhism while working and living at Karma Choling, a Shambhala Buddhist meditation center in northern Vermont. Valerie works at Namaste Montessori School to mentor teachers and build community. She facilitates and makes a legal record of meetings for an international standards organization, and she currently serves on the FUSIT Board of Trustees. Valerie is a mother of 2 boys and an old-time rhythm guitarist. Before our chalice lighting, I think this would be a good time to take a moment and greet those sitting around you, whether by a handshake, a wave, or a masked smile. Okay, our chalice this morning is going to be lit by Valerie Graves. And you can join me in the chalice lighting words which are written in your order of service. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action. Thank you. The opening words today are by Pema Chandran from the book, The Places That Scare You. When I was about 6 years old, I received the essential bodhicitta teaching from an old woman sitting in the sun. I was walking by her house one day, feeling lonely, unloved, and mad, kicking anything I could find. Laughing, she said to me, "Little girl, don't you go letting life harden your heart." Right there, I received this pith instruction. We can let the circumstances of our lives harden us so that we become increasingly resentful and afraid. Or we can let them soften us and make us kinder and more open to what scares us. We always have this choice. The opening hymn is 1009, and please stand in body or spirit.
Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe.
Well, good morning, everyone. For those of you who watched me up here before, you know that getting my mask off is always a challenge with my hearing aids. Today I was successful. So I want to let you know that I am the president of the Board of Trustees, but that's not the reason why I wanted to speak to you today under matters of our lives. I come as an equal member of the community with all of you. So I've been attending FUSIT since 1987. And I don't think that it gives me any special position other than to say that I've seen us at our best. And I've also experienced times when we are not at our best. But time and time again, I've been confronted by the resiliency of this congregation to overcome the challenges it faces. Those low points deeply trouble me because I know so many of you and I treasure our relationships. But I am comforted in knowing that when all of you are asked why we come together, we all say community, and I do as well. Many of you may know that I was a town supervisor, and I held that position for 22 years, beginning in 1993. During that time, faxes, cell phones, the internet, email, and social media all came into existence. Each of these technologies provided us and me with opportunities and challenges. I can confess that I didn't know all the hidden consequences of email, I just used it. As a result of being naive and being in the public eye at the same time, I received some pretty hard knocks. And I developed an appreciation that my choice of words is super important in these mediums. I learned that deliberate word selection can be received much differently than I intended. So I now use these one-dimensional communication tools with extreme caution and much forethought, and as much as possible allow time before I hit the send button. I also discovered as an elected official that the things I wrote in email could show up on a billboard in our town and taken out of context for political reasons. To show how archaic I am, I've used Facebook maybe half a dozen times in my life, and I was not on the FUSIT listserv. I'm not advocating this lifestyle for anyone else, but this may provide some context for my comments. While using these mediums may compromise my ability to always be in 24/7 contact with my community, it allows me to be in community in a way that I can control. I prefer in-person connections because the other two dimensions of communication, sight and body language, I can use so that I can understand the reception to my comments. And so it is, over the past couple of weeks, heated discussion and controversy over the eighth principle has spilled into our Facebook and Breeze communication channel. Youths are known for their energy and passion, so it's not surprising that the passion has traveled into these one-dimensional electronic pathways. Deeply held feelings surrounding this issue have probably grown bigger and more personal than we had intended. They were spiraled into personal attacks and ultimatums. It hurts me to see my friends become wounded and angry. So we have a covenant. I consider it aspirational, a promise to myself that I have shared publicly with you. I want to believe that it's an aspiration for you as well. I fully realize that at times I will fail to live into the covenant, and you will as well. I accept that as being a human frailty, and I think no less of anyone who has fallen short of their promise to themselves. In the past, I've seen us forgive each other and join hands to be that light in the darkness around us. I've seen us forgive each other, and I've seen us celebrate our differences as a source of strength. With all the brokenness around us, war, the undoing of Roe, inequity, global warming, and undoing of democracy, just to name a few, we need each other right now as much as ever. Just like our egos, community can be a source of strength, while simultaneously it can be very fragile. When this fragility becomes obvious, I hope that we can all step back and perhaps question, is our current source of passion damaging what we have spent years building? How can we celebrate our differences and diverse viewpoints? Can we humbly apologize when we have not been at our best? Can we be intentional in our communications in all mediums to create and exemplify the caring, compassionate community we want the world to see us as? I've seen us gather in strong community after turmoil, so I know we can benevolently hold each other again while acknowledging and accepting differences in opinion. So I want to tell you, each and one of you, that I love you very much. And despite my blights and witherings, I hope you can forgive me for my failings and hold me in your community. And I promise I will do the same for you.
Good morning, friends. It's a beautiful morning. I'm so glad that I get to spend it here with all of you. I'm going to invite anyone who feels so moved to come forward and join me on the steps. And I did want to point out a couple of fun things coming up that are listed here in your order of service, such as the small group ministry for people who are actively parenting today on Zoom, the fact that pub theology will be back at Liquid State on Tuesday, May 24th at 6:30. We hope to see you there. And the last Sunday of May, we're having a play date with pizza in the park. And if you're going to come, there is a little link to let me know so I know how much pizza to order. So please come and join us for all of these fun events. Hi, friends. And now we're going to see what's in the Wonder Box. I'm going to turn this around here for you. Someone want to grab that out of there for me? Thank you. Oh, do you see what's in there? Can you grab it? Oh, just slightly. You just take the whole thing down. Okay, good. Oh, what kind of balloon? Yeah, watch, you're going to have the bag back. It is. Go ahead and, thanks. You notice that there's something down by your feet? Behind you. You go ahead and pull that off there and see what's in there. Oh yeah, there's some more water balloons in there. Ooh, you can go ahead and grab one. There should be enough for everyone. I'm going to invite you to gently explore those, but try not to pop them here in the sanctuary. I think Rachel will be really sad if you leave her a big puddle. We leave her after the service. But afterwards, if it's okay with your parents, we can take them outside and throw them at each other on the sidewalk. So this month, we're talking about nurturing beauty in ourselves, our community, and the world around us. And I brought those because water balloons are one of the things that are actually better when they're broken, right? So I'm going to share with you a story now about a cracked pot. Maybe you know it. And this story is about the beauty that sometimes comes from being broken. When researching the story, some sources say that it is a Chinese wisdom tale. However, the majority says that it is Indian folklore. In both cultures, the author is unknown, and the version that you're going to hear today is set in India. All right, here we go, friends. Here's our story. A water bearer in India had 2 large pots. Each one hung on the end of a pole that he carried across his neck. One of the pots had a crack in it. At the end of the long walk from the stream to the master's house, the cracked pot arrived only half full, while the other pot was perfect and always delivered a full portion of water. For 2 years, this went on daily, with the bearer delivering only 1.5 pots full of water to his master's house. Of course, the perfect pot was proud of its accomplishments, perfect to the end for that with which it was made. But the poor cracked pot was ashamed of its own imperfection and miserable that it was only able to accomplish half of what it had been made to do. After 2 years of what it perceived to be bitter failure, it spoke to the water bearer one day by the stream, and it said, "I am ashamed of myself, and I want to apologize to you." "Why?" asked the water bearer. "What are you ashamed of?" And the pot responded, "I have been able for these past 2 years to deliver only half of my load because of this crack in my side that causes the water to leak out all the way back to your master's house. Because of my flaws, you have to do all this work, but you don't get the full value from our efforts." Now the water bearer felt sorry for the cracked pot, and in his compassion he said, "As we return to the master's house, I want you to notice the beautiful flowers along the path. Indeed, as they went up the hill, the old cracked pot took notice of the sun warming the beautiful wildflowers on the side of the path, and this cheered it some. But at the end of the trail, it still felt sad because it had leaked out half of its load, and so again the pot apologized to the bearer for its failure. The bearer said to the pot, "Did you notice that there were flowers only on your side of the path, but not on the other pot's side? That's because I have always known about your flaw, and I took advantage of it. I planted flower seeds on our side of the path, and every day while we walk back and forth to the stream, you have watered them. For 2 years, I have been able to pick beautiful flowers to decorate my master's table. Without you being just the way you are, he would not have had this beauty to grace his house." Thank you for sharing this tale with me this morning. So much like a water balloon, where the fun and joy is at the moment when the balloon breaks, you're having things breaking in there, and a cascade of water sprays out, hopefully in the plastic bucket that I have provided. The pot in our story was also broken, and that brokenness is what created the abundance of beauty by watering the flowers along its path each day. I hope that you are able to see your whole self with your flaws and cracks and not feel shame like our pot did, but feel joy at the beauty you are spreading by being authentically you. We are all cracked pots living in a beautiful broken world, and no one is perfect. May the beauty that pours out of you and into this world be nurtured, and may it bring growth and joy and maybe even moments of water balloon soaked fun. Go ahead. What?
That was great. In a spirit of reverence, love, and care, we take time now to bear witness to some of the joys and sorrows of our community. We want to share those events that call for our prayers and support, our praise and celebration. This morning, I received this message. Russ Sheriff and Beth Howard are grateful that 26 years ago today, Savannah Sheriff came into this world. Savannah grew up in this congregation and was embraced here. Her cheerfulness, kindness, love of music and words, and sense of humor are gifts that we're grateful for every day. Happy birthday, Savannah. For those we are holding in our thoughts, in our hearts, and perhaps in our prayers, let us call these names out loud into this community, into this space of healing and hope right now. We extend loving kindness to all in our world, and let us not forget to extend loving kindness to ourselves. Today, tomorrow, and beyond, may our hands be outstretched in kindness. And let us keep showing up to our lives and each other with an open heart, no matter what. Love and courage to us all. Blessed be and amen.
Good morning. For our meditation today, I'm going to be giving a basic mindfulness meditation instruction. You can start by sitting in an upright but relaxed position with your feet on the floor Your hands can be on your thighs or folded in your lap, your chest and heart as open as is comfortable. You can imagine a string pulling up at the top of your head so your chin can tuck slightly and your neck can elongate, and all of your vertebrae can just rest one on top of the other down your spine. All of this is just to the extent that is comfortable in your own body. You want to try to have an upright position that takes minimal effort to maintain. So now you can relax your jaw. Your mouth can be slightly open to maintain a relaxed jaw. And you can place your tongue behind your upper teeth if that helps. And now lower your gaze and rest your eyes on something in front of you that's stationary. There's no need to study that object or stare intently. You can just have a soft, relaxed gaze. And if you're comfortable with your eyes open, in this practice, we can try to stay present in the world as it is around us. And now you can notice your breath coming in and going out. There's no need to alter that breath. You can just feel how it moves through your body. Inevitably, a thought is going to come into your head, and it might even be some time before you realize that you've been thinking. But when you notice that you're thinking, you can label that thinking as thinking, and just return your attention to your breath. We will practice this way for a moment with a gong to begin and 3 gongs to end. Thank you.
You can remain seated, or if you feel like you want to stand up and join in our beauty chant, that is welcome as well. As you remember from last week, if you were here, standing up will allow you to turn around while we sing, but you can just also sit comfortably. Beauty before me, beauty behind me, beauty beneath me, beauty above, beauty beside me, and all around me, beauty encircle me with love, beauty before me, beauty behind me, beauty beneath me, beauty above, beauty beside me, and all around me, beauty encircle me with love, beauty before me, beauty behind me, beauty beneath me, beauty above, beauty beside me, and all around me, beauty encircle me with love, beauty before me, beauty behind me, beauty beneath me, beauty above, beauty beside me, and all around me, beauty encircle me with love.
beside me and all around me. Beauty encircle me with love.
Each week, we take an offering to sustain the important ministries and programs of the congregation and its presence in Ithaca. The giving information is provided in your order of service. If you're watching remotely, you can look for information on your screen during the offertory music and below the live stream image on YouTube. Giving to the plate is a symbol of our gratitude for this service and our commitment to support the work of this church. So please take a moment and give through the text option or the giving button on the church website. If you are attending in person and would prefer to write a check, you can place your offering in the box by the door when you exit after the service. Please join me in saying the offertory words, which are printed in your order of service. May these gifts bring about connection, inspiration, and engagement within these walls and beyond. Today's reading is from Shambhala, The Sacred Path of the Warrior by Chögyam Trungpa. Discovering real goodness comes from appreciating very simple experiences. We are not talking about how good it feels to make $1 million, or finally graduate from college, or buy a new house. What we are speaking here is of basic goodness, the basic goodness of being alive, which does not depend on our accomplishments or fulfilling our desires. We experience glimpses of goodness all the time, but we often fail to acknowledge them. When we see a bright color, we are witnessing our own inherent goodness. When we hear a beautiful sound, we are hearing our own basic goodness. When we step out of the shower, we feel fresh and clean, and when we walk out of a stuffy room, we appreciate the sudden whiff of fresh air. These events may take a fraction of a second, but they are real experiences of goodness. They happen to us all the time, but we usually ignore them as mundane or purely coincidental. According to the Shambhala principles, however, it is worthwhile to recognize and take advantage of these moments because they are revealing basic non-aggression and freshness in our lives, basic goodness.
All of your thoughts are reasonable. That's what my Dachshund teacher told me when I approached him in tears, explaining why I could not go back into the shrine room. See, I was on a month-long meditation retreat, and we meditated upwards of 8 hours a day. And I'd had a very intense experience. I was so upset. The experience itself is really not irrelevant, is really irrelevant at this point. But he went on to say, all of your thoughts are reasonable. You have very logical arguments. However, your thoughts are your protection from feeling how you are feeling. He challenged me to go back and sit down in the shrine room again. And instead of focusing on my breath, like we just did in our mindfulness meditation, he asked me to focus on the sensation of the feeling in my body, which I did. And the thoughts were so persistent and sticky and stubborn, and they kept coming back about how I had been wronged and how angry I was and all the things I wanted to say to the people who had hurt me. But strangely, after paying very close attention to the feeling in my body, which was like hot and tight, it just left. It's hard to explain. It's like it dissolved and dissipated, and I didn't feel it anymore. I didn't need to explain anything. I didn't need to confront anyone or hold on to any perceived injustice. I could let it go and move on. This was a very profound experience for me, especially as a 20-something, with all the drama that goes with that time of life. As humans, we strongly believe that what our mind is telling us, especially when it's attached to a strong emotion, is of vital importance. And there are many, many times in our life when our emotions are giving us very important information about our safety in a situation. This is part of our fight or flight, like our instinctual ability to notice something and act instantly to protect ourselves. But most of the time, for most of us who have some measure of privilege in this life, we are not constantly faced with life or death situations. However, our nervous system can still treat them as such. Our brain and emotion can still make them vitally important. Situations like being offended by something we read on social media, or finding out that someone you love in your community or your family disagrees with something that you thought was fundamental to your shared morality. It can be so painful. And it may not be life-threatening, but they're certainly threatening to our sense of a reality, our sense of ourselves, our ego, our self-perception. All of this is affected by these realizations, and we react with similar intensity. When we're trapped in the throes of strong emotion, and the thoughts are strong and stubborn, and they keep coming back, we are distanced from our wisdom. We can't act from a place of wisdom. We can't perceive things objectively when we're captivated by our own thoughts. We filter all the information coming in through our own self-perception, our own experience, and how it affects us. In fact, I would argue that we do this most of the time. When we're listening to one another, we're hearing our own interpretation of what is said and not necessarily what the other person is trying to communicate. Now, strong emotions happen on all ends of the spectrum. It can be the excitement of going over the top of a roller coaster, or the anxiety of being trapped in a tunnel, which is one of my biggest fears. And all of this can be felt in our body. Our heart rate goes faster, our muscles get tense. We can end up with headaches and chest pain from ongoing stress. But like Ram Dass says, strong emotions are like waves. We can watch them disappear into the vast calm of the ocean. Another quote I love from Jonathan Martinson is that feelings are much like waves. We cannot stop them from coming, but we can choose which ones to surf. And choice is what I wanted to talk about today. The freedom to choose in every moment of your life what you attend to. As Reverend Anna Levy-Lyons says in her book, No Other Gods, what you give your attention to in your day-to-day life is essentially what you worship. So what do you choose to attend to? What do you give your time and energy to? You have a choice. And this, I believe, is a gift of meditation practice. Meditation is used in a variety of ways all over the world. There are dances, chants, prayers, kirtans, and yoga sequences and ceremonies that are ritualized and repetitive, and the list goes on. And all of these practices train our mind and body to be attending to the same thing, to be coordinated and focused. What I'm talking about today is mindfulness meditation, which is simple. It can be done for any length of time, and it's already a small piece of our Unitarian Universalist practice. I know the theme for the month is nurturing beauty, but honestly, I don't know how much of us spend that much time really noticing all the beauty that exists all around us. A large portion of our time is unaware of so much and noticing so little. And this is a really good and efficient part of helpful quality of our mind. If we had to spend our time noticing and taking in everything, we would be back to infancy, where you have to take a nap after a short stint being awake. So we do need this quality. We need to be able to compartmentalize and prioritize what we give our attention to. But unfortunately, this often leads to living so much of our life unconsciously. And we miss things. We miss our lives. And when we're unconscious, we are unconsciously reacting to things in a habitual way. And this is the creation of our ego. Our habits begin to feel like who we are, and we become protective of it, attached to it. It makes us feel grounded, and it makes us feel safe. I'm sure we can all speak about groundlessness after the last couple of years when the pandemic has uprooted everything, and so much has changed. We've had to give up so much. For myself, in the last year, I found out that my father, who's always been invincible in my eyes, has cancer. I quit my job of 18 years and started a new job. We renovated our kitchen. I joined the FUSIT board. We got a dog, and even though I'm totally a cat person, and I grew out my hair, I changed shampoos, I even changed toothpaste to the little tablets that don't use plastic as part of our getting rid of plastic in our household. And here I am talking in front of people, even though this is another one of my worst fears. Sometimes I don't recognize myself. It is so unsettling when things change. We like things to be predictable and consistent, and they're not. In fact, sometimes they really, really are not. And this attachment to who we are and how things are that leads us to live habitually and self-protectively keeps us from being curious and open. We attempt to avoid things we don't like and hoard the things that we do. We react to situations without clarity, and this mindlessness can ripple out into our own lives. So when I talk about choice, I'm talking about a freedom from those habitual patterns, the ability for the mind to notice when you're en route to something habitual and just have a pause, thinking, It's a chance to slow down and not be dragged into those same habitual responses. And we all know the feeling. It's like our house when we're trying to get out in the morning. Nobody wants to get up. Nobody wants to leave the house. But we still have to get our kids dressed. We still have to make sure they get some decent food. And inevitably, somebody raises their voice. Sometimes somebody cries. It's like those times when you're talking to a person who's so triggering, it doesn't matter what they say to you. Every time they say something to you, you're guarded and you're ready to feel attacked. And it always leads into the same emotional response. It goes down the same road every time. This feels inevitable. We feel stuck and we feel trapped. But what if we did something different? And how could we do that? Meditation in all its forms, but sitting and paying attention to the breath and labeling thoughts thinking with no judgment is one of many excellent ways to train the mind not to be carried away by every thought or sensation. Our thoughts and feelings are not always truth. You don't have to believe everything you think. Meditation also trains us to stay with discomfort, and nobody likes discomfort. It's much like the prenatal yoga class I took with Diane Fine, where I had to stay and breathe through really uncomfortable poses in my bloated, pregnant body. It was hard. But a meditation allows us to face ourselves, to stay with our aging, creaking bodies, and be present with that inevitable discomfort. And imagine if we could do that in our lives. If we could stay with discomfort, stay with situations that are emotionally complex and taxing, and continue to be curious and offer love even to those we disagree with. Isn't that our covenant to one another? To see inherent worth and dignity in every person. That doesn't mean just when it's easy. In our family, we have a relative who is terribly racist and sometimes would spew vitriol that was infuriating to ever hear a human being say out loud about another human being. I called him on it. I tried. I told him that what he was saying was simply not true, that it was so harmful, and it really didn't make any difference in his beliefs. One night after a heated argument, I was so distraught and heartbroken that I told my husband, "We can't visit anymore. I don't want my children around this man." And my husband said, "This is an opportunity to show our children that we can love people even when we don't agree with them. And more transformation is likely to happen if we try to reach out and spend some time and see the goodness in people even when we don't agree with them, rather than shut them out and walk away." But this is so difficult because of our ego, our strong belief of who we are, and the need to predict threats and protect ourselves. We are so threatened by disagreement, and this habit and pattern of mind to predict and defend is not always based in truth. Strong feelings can feel very real and make us feel solid and grounded. But the nature of reality is change. Nothing is solid. It's all waves on the ocean. You have the freedom to choose which thoughts you agree with. And like Reggie Carpenter said last week, if you got to hear that, you can also ask, what else is true? Things don't have to be so solid. You can choose which wave to ride. There's a time and place for anger, of course, and to tell someone that is not okay. But it can still be done with love. Those of us who are parents, we know this because we do it all day. And for all of us, we know this from our personal relationships. You have to be able to set boundaries. But it still can be done with love. When we have a choice, and we're not always carried away or lost in our thoughts, we actually have a chance to make a wise decision of when and how to act. And we also have a chance to experience beauty along the way. and spend time taking information from our senses without judging its worth, without filtering it away. How often do you take time to look into the face of the people that you love? What about the eyes of the people you disagree with? How often do you give your full attention to the sensation of the bottom of your feet on the ground? Or actually taste the tea or coffee that you drink, taste the food you eat? Is it the first bite and maybe again on the fifth? For most of us, it's a small percentage of the time that we are actually attending to, paying attention to, and worshiping the goodness that is right in front of us. How can we nurture beauty if we can't even see it? From a Buddhist perspective, we're always addicted to samsara, which is this constant attachment to stability, the defense of our ego, the struggle of hoping for this and fearing for that. And that makes it so we're rarely present in our actual lives as they happen. And we don't only avoid things that threaten us. Great Rinpoches, Tibetan teachers, they talk about how Americans are so serious. And they say we also turn away from the world which is so beautiful, that it's too beautiful, too amazing, and too intense for us to really sit and be with. We turn away in self-protection, but we are not so fragile. As Ane Pema Chodron says, only to the extent that we expose ourselves over and over to annihilation can that which is indestructible in us be found. So when our ego falls apart, we're still here. If we do something different, if we break a habit, if we approach the world, the situation, the people in our lives with curiosity and love, we experience little moments of freedom. And then we have a choice to face difficulties with wisdom and clarity, and to nurture that which is beautiful, helpful, and meaningful in our lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. I invite you to rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn. It's in your teal hymnal, number 1031, Filled with Loving Kindness.
Blessed is the dark in which our dreams stir and are revealed. Blessed is the dark of earth where seeds come to life. Blessed are the depths of the ocean where no light shimmers and the womb of all earthly life. Blessed is the light into which we wake, the light that sparkles on the waters, that calls the tree forth from the seed and calls the shadow forth from the tree. Blessed are we as we move through darkness and through light.